Football Appreciation YouTube channel. Now, today I'm going to be doing a Premier League tier list for every manager, and the season ended a few days ago, so I feel like it's only fair to judge it now. Like I've seen other people do it, and it's kind of unfair when the table hasn't finished. So subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing another one of these tomorrow about just every club, but this is specifically on managers. So let's start with Big Sam. I think ultimately it's poor. He got bought in to keep them up, and he didn't. So he's failed in his objective. And obviously they finished 19th in the end, but if you look at the Premier League table from when he got appointed, which was the 16th of December, they're the worst team in the league. They're worse than Sheffield United. So I don't think I have to say anything else. Poor job. Ryan Mason, obviously he hasn't been in the job that long, but I think he's been terrible. Some of his decisions, like benching Tanguy on Ndombele for no reason, mind blowing. Let's go Haas and Hurtle. I think the thing that pulls them down for me is the fact that they have the second worst defence in the league. They're second behind West Brom, which concerns me. I do rate Haas and Hurtle as a manager, but I'm going to put him in okay purely because I think Southampton's squad is atrocious, but he hasn't done a great job. I'm going to allow it because his squad's terrible. They've had injuries and they're not good. Like they're in a relegation battle if they don't back Arsenal. Sean Dyche, good. Where did they finish in the end? Burnley. I know. Okay, I know it sounds weird to say good when they're 17th, but the only signing they made was Dale Stephens from Brighton. That squad is terrible. The fact that guy gets 12 goals out of Chris Wood every year, he's a good manager, man. Let's go Ollie. Again, good. You can't put him in manager of the year nominee. They went out the Champions League. They've done nothing in the cups, and Liverpool only finished 5 points behind them in the end. But I think he has done a good job. He's brought a lot of the young players through, and he's just been a solid, if not spectacular, manager for Man United. And I think this is ultimately a positive season for them. But I think he would have had to stay in the Champions League, or kind of push City a bit more to be in the manager of the year nominee for me. Hodgson, just an okay job. 14th for Palace, I think. Yeah, just never in any relegation battle. That squad's old, and he's kind of getting the most out of it. I worry for Crystal Palace next season if they don't get that managerial appointment right. Same with my boy NUNO. I'll put him in okay purely because of the injury record. If Wolves didn't have any injuries this season and were still 13th, I'd put them there. And it is a bit of an embarrassment that Wolves have finished below Steve Bruce's Newcastle. But purely because of the injuries to Johnny, Bolly, Jimenez, Neto, etc., I'll put him in okay. Heckingbottom, just a pointless person. Mourinho, again, one to forget. Like Tottenham are genuinely one of the worst teams. Like if you look at expected points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're the 10th worst team in the Premier League with that squad. The 10th worst team. Do you know how embarrassing that is? And again, that's also Ryan Mason, but it's mainly Mourinho. And for me, that squad is easily a top 4 squad, bar the defence. Bilic, I put him in poor, purely because he was terrible at the end of the Championship season as well. They never looked like they were going to stay up. They've got a few good results against Chelsea and City, but I think he's a manager that's probably done at Premier League level. Chris Wilder, it's hard because he's set expectations so high for himself that it makes it seem like he's been worse. But that squad's a Championship squad. So I know that sounds weird, but I'm going to put him in okay. Because the squad's terrible. Like I don't really get what he's supposed to get out of it. I know it's such a drop-off, but I don't expect him to do anything with that squad. And they did sack him. So I think his reputation is not damaged, and he'll end up at a top Championship club, lower Premier League club, easily. Scott Parker, poor. Honestly, I'm tempted to put him down here. Genuinely, I think Scott Parker's been an atrocious manager. I think, if you look at expected points, I'm not saying, like, Fulham aren't the worst team, they're the 5th bottom, but they've won 5 games this season. They've won the least games in the Premier League, right? They've won 2 less games than Sheffield United. With that squad, I get that they don't have a striker. Actually, no, I am putting him one to forget. I think he's a terrible manager. I think his mentor, Tottenham, have been linked with him. And look, he's still young, but that Fulham squad is really good. It's better than Newcastle's. It's better than Sheffield's. It's better than Crystal Palace's in some regards. It's definitely better than Burnley's. It's better than Southampton's in a lot of cases. I'd take most of their back 5 at Wolves. I'd take most of their midfield at Wolves, and he's done nothing with it. 5 wins? Nah, embarrassing. I'm sorry, I just don't get the hype about him. Ancelotti, Everton finished 10th in the end, right? Yeah. I mean, I want to put him in poor, honestly, but I'll leave him in okay purely because Carlo Ancelotti's the type of manager where you have to give him good players. Otherwise, it's not going to work. He's the type of manager who comes into a big club, gets the best out of the good players, he gets them to their level. And that's it. Like, Everton probably have the 10th best squad in the Premier League, and he's got them 10th. For me, Carlo Ancelotti was always a weird appointment because Everton don't have a good squad. But he's done an all right job. But he needs backing, otherwise he's going to be sacked in 3 months. Steve Bruce, I think he's actually done. I still think it's a poor season overall because how terrible they are. Like, I'm sure they're towards the bottom on expected points, right? I'd assume they are anyway. Yeah, they're so boring. Like, I don't think obviously you look at the Premier League table and think 12th, and it looks all right, but they're just boring. Like, I sympathise with Newcastle fans. Their football's just terrible. Unlike Graham Potter, I'm going to put in okay. I know people will disagree with that, but if you look at their goals against, they've got the third best defence in the Premier League based on expected goals against. They've been so unlucky. Their goal swing is mental. They finished 16th in the end, but they're projected to have 20 more points. Do you know how mental that is? I think he's a really good young coach. He'd be a great appointment for Tottenham. Guardiola, obviously manager of the year nominee. There's no point in wasting your time speaking about that. Same with Bielsa. Look, I think Leeds are a little bit overrated sometimes, and I think they're very specific, and I'm surprised no one's found them out a bit quicker. But that's not a disrespect to him. That's just 18 games in your first season in the Premier League. They got 59 points this season. That's the exact same that Wolves got when they got promoted and then finished 7th. And obviously the Premier League's been a bit dodgy this year, but I'm surprised they haven't had burnout, Leeds. Because I know it's kind of like a bit of a lazy thing with Bielsa, but considering COVID and their small squad, I thought they would have burnout, and they haven't. And he's impressed me. So, yeah, manager of the year nominee. Dean Smith. It's been a good year purely based on how terrible they were last year. The Grealish injuries showed them up a little bit, but an 11th place finish with that squad, it's a fair enough season. Tuchel, again, good job. You can't put him in manager of the year nominee because they just got Champions League football, the FA Cup final. Obviously, the Champions League final will dictate this, but I don't think you can really judge that on Thomas Tuchel. You have to give Frank Lampard some credit for that as well, who isn't actually on this for some reason. But if I was doing Frank Lampard, he would be in poor, by the way. Klopp, it's a good season for Klopp. Third in the league. I think, obviously, the Champions League and the Cups, it still annoys me that Klopp hasn't won a domestic cup. Like, you've been in the Premier League for like 6 years, bro, and you've not won an FA Cup or a League Cup. But given their injuries, the fact that he's got them third and not that far behind Man United deserves respect. Rodgers, again, good season. I mean, I can't put him in manager of the year nominee. If they got Champions League, he would be there, but they haven't. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I just don't find Leicester that interesting. And I think they're the 6th best team based on expected points. So it's not like they deserve Champions League, not unlucky. But he still had a good season. The FA Cup win was amazing. And he's a good manager. Don't let other people tell you he's not. Moyes, again, obviously manager of the year nominee. Look, I don't like David Moyes. I think he's very arrogant. But you have to respect what he's done. I don't think that West Ham squad's awful. Like, it's genuinely terrible. And the job he's done with that, it's amazing. He's completely revived his career out of nowhere, really. And, I remember at the start of the season when they sold Grady Diangana and everyone was freaking out. And that feels like so long ago. They lost to Newcastle on the opening day, didn't they? And, yeah, he deserves so much credit, Moyes. Obviously, Champions League is a bit disappointing to miss out on. They missed out on it by, 2 points? But 19 wins for West Ham's an amazing achievement for Moyes. And then Arteta... Look, I don't know if to put him in poor or one to forget. I'll put him in poor for now, purely because I do think the Arsenal squad's so overrated by people. I think they probably do have the 8th best squad in the Premier League, so he's probably performing to his level. But he just makes weird decisions, and they've underperformed in the Cups. The Villarreal game was an embarrassment. I remember doing a video on that, so I kind of have to put him in poor. Although down here, if this was like I'm doing a video on every club, if this was Arsenal would be down here. But purely for Arteta, I think it's a poor season, but he can recover from it. So yeah, that's my tier list. If you enjoyed, subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm sure people will disagree with some of these, but I'll happily reply. So yeah, subscribe and peace.